for today. Guys, can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can hear you, yes.
Yes.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was just saying it's with great pleasure that I'm the SAA for today, in this special evening in which we celebrate the art of public speaking in one special Toastmaster evening with one of the one of the past presidents. This evening, I shall say that we embark on a journey filled with inspiration, creativity, and power of words. The president today has crafted his message with care, passion, dedication, and I'm so sure that he is ready to ignite, and he is ready also to ignite our minds and touch our hearts. Today, we're all together, and we are ready to embrace diversity. We are ready to applaud leadership and public speaking, and to stress on the transformative potential of effective communication. And this is why we're gathered all together in a very special evening titled Great Leaders Create Outstanding Leaders with Dr. Peck, the past international president. Before starting officially with the evening, allow me to read the mission. The district mission on the club level, the mission of Toastmasters Club is to provide supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills resulting in great self-confidence and personal growth. The district mission, we build the new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. And now, before we move on to actually starting our evening, we must make sure that the evening moved smoothly. So let's try all together, join our efforts, and abide by the upcoming rules to make it smooth and to make it effective. Accordingly, I would please ask everyone to put their phones on off or silent mode. Please also mute your screens whenever speeches are going on. Try to keep your videos on, and for safety, avoid joining the online meeting if you're driving. Eye contact is equivalent also with it's considered as if you are on the stage. And I would also like to remind everyone to refrain from talking about the three topics that are sex, politics, and religion. Please feel free to use your washrooms whenever in need, but don't forget to turn the video off whenever you need to do so. And now, allow me to, before I hand the stage over to introduce for you who is Dr. Abdel Sattar. Dr. Abdel Sattar is an accomplished orthopedic surgeon with extensive experience in leadership and management roles. He is our club growth director in District 127. His contributions to our organization have been invaluable. His leadership style is based on collaboration and inclusivity. He is a lecturer in Dubai Medical College and has organized and conducted several health awareness talks. He is a fitness and healthy lifestyle preacher too, and he is technophile and a designer too. So please, everyone, help me hand over the stage to Dr. Abdel Sattar, our club growth director.
Thank you very much, Danash. That was lots of introduction. And let me introduce Danash. Danash is from Lebanon. He is the VPE of one of the most vibrant clubs in Lebanon, that is Pro Toastmasters Club. Thank you very much, Danash, for this great introduction and taking up the role. And let's move on. Good evening, district leaders, division leaders, area leaders, club leaders, my dear fellow Toastmasters, dignitaries in the house, the chief guest in the house, and all the guests present here. Thank you very much for being here, and a very, very good evening to each and every one of you. Before we move on, let me request the District Director, Deepa Surendran, DTM Deepa Surendran, to say a few words before we move on. DTM Deepa Surendran, are you there?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm just here to listen to our past international president and understand how great leaders create outstanding leaders and clubs. So let's start. And good evening to my dear fellow Toastmasters from District 127 and from outside as well. And this is a very good initiative. Thanks to the CG team. And back to you, Dr. Abdul Sattar.
Thank you very much, District Director DTM Deepa Surendran. I had a chance to visit many clubs in the past 9 months. One thing I noticed was great leaderships, great leader in a club It need not be one, or it can be just one. They create a great atmosphere in the club. They create outstanding leaders to follow up with them for the next coming year. And they create wonderful environment in a club that makes the club thrive, and that makes the club members become better leaders and better speakers. That we are here for. With that, let's listen to the great speaker here today. But before we move on, let me just tell you what we have done in the past 9 months as the CGD team, the club growth team, in few words. I'll not take too much time. We have, please give a big round of applause to District 127. We have achieved something that is very difficult to achieve for a club which is very young in the first year of existence. That is #1 in the world in net club growth. Thank you very much, each and every member, each and every leader who's here, who has supported this movement. And not just that, we are at number 20 in the highest percentage clubs with 20 plus members. We have not finished. We are already distinguished, select distinguished district. We are soon going to be medley distinguished with just few steps remaining. With a big round of applause, let's move on to the next. We have 144 clubs as of now, and 6,475 member payments. The base was once 5,663. We formed 70 new clubs, and 2 clubs are under chartering process, and 12 clubs under discussion. We've done 23 demo meetings, 27 open houses, and still counting. We had a chance to arrange more than 70 free of cost meetings, and we have already supported many clubs in getting them low cost venues. And CGD team is very proud to say that we have done 8 educational sessions. We have done a club support event called Club Growth Cafe, and a wonderful, everyone appreciated the networking and the event that we had. And that's the Club Growth Roadshow, which we will be having one more soon after DTAG. Then we had a global LinkedIn campaign, AI video campaigns, and CGD club team has been visiting clubs to know how each club works, and we are supporting them, helping them to become better and thriving clubs. And we also had the corporate reach out. We had many flyer campaigns to support the renewals, and we appointed 21 club coaches for different clubs, and all those clubs are pumping back to normal life. And awards, we have distributed so many awards, and distributed the awards during the conclave, and CGD team has taken it upon themselves to make sure that each and every achiever is appreciated at every level in the district. And the club growth team has supported MOT, new club chartering, demo meetings, open houses, role play assignment supports, and club area and division contest. We had visiting and supporting every contest. And we had lots and lots of fun as the team, training and convention in the Bahamas. And in case you need any support in future, we are open 24/7. Please get in touch with us, and we have a wonderful team working around the clock to help and support you. With this, to take the meeting forward, we have an MC for today, who is none other than one of the club growth team member. He is VPE of Carbodium Toastmasters Club Sharjah. He's none other than Toastmaster Hadi. Please give a big round of applause. Let me hand over the stage to Toastmaster Hadi. Over to you, Hadi.
Thank you, DTM Abdul Sattar, the Club Growth Director. And it's my honor and privilege to welcome you all once again to District 127 Club Growth Teams Workshop on open house meetings and combined meetings. And now, as we all gather today for this special event, let's talk about open houses. They are not just events. They are windows of opportunity, offering a glimpse into the transformative power of Toastmasters. Can you recall the first day you visited in a Toastmasters club? Most of us visited a club in an open house meeting, and these open house meetings converted guests into champions, confident speakers, and amazing people who support each other. And combined meeting workshop, I have seen its synergy in action. They bring together collective wisdom and experience of multiple clubs. And I got an opportunity once to speak in a combined meeting. It was an open house and a combined meeting, and the energy I felt is awesome. And that's the power that combined meetings and open houses together can bring to our Toastmasters meeting. So we are here to share ideas, to learn from each other's success and challenges, and to emerge stronger and more empowered as a Toastmasters community. And now, let me welcome a special person who is going to pass the baton to another unique personality, who is the most eligible person in this room to talk from his experience and enlighten us with his experience. And Toastmasters and friends, help me to welcome this special person. She's a trailblazing entrepreneur, visionary CEO, and esteemed principal of Kennedy Communication Studio International. This is giving a hint to many of us who I'm going to invite here. And with a dynamic experience spanning coaching, training, speaking, and writing, she has dedicated her life to empowering women and men worldwide. As a Canadian radio journalist turned advocate, she ignites a revolution, teaching people to harness the transformative power of their voices, their ultimate superpower for visibility and impact. Stay tuned for her forthcoming masterpiece, Your Brave Voice, How to Speak from Your Heart and Sound Like a Professional. It's time to revolutionize the way we communicate. And this person received District 2027's Appreciation Award for not 5 years, not 10 years, not 15 years, for 20 years as a Toastmaster. Now you will be you might have got an idea of who I'm going to talk about. She's none other than DTM Patty. I'm going to welcome her onto the stage to introduce the special person who's going to conduct the education session for us.
Thank you very much, Hattie. It's wonderful to be here. It's a great honor for me to be here this evening to introduce to you a dear colleague, and perhaps even more importantly, a very dear friend, our dear Richard Peck. I first heard about Richard way back when he was beginning his climb up the international ladder in Toastmasters. I am a former member of District 53, which is the district that Richard hails from. District 53, correct me if I'm wrong, Richard, but I believe it's Eastern New York, all of Connecticut, and Western Massachusetts. In those days, I was an area governor. I didn't know Richard in those days, but as soon as I saw that somebody from one of my former districts was climbing up that beautiful international ladder, I began to follow him. I will always remember Richard at the World Convention in Vancouver, my hometown, in 2017. And it was the annual general meeting, and all of the candidates, Richard was running for second vice president at the time. And all of the candidates in that final meeting are given a 2-minute window, their final address, after a whole long year of campaigning and fine-tuning their mission and their vision. And I remember Richard very well sitting in the audience. And I remember you starting out. Now, I don't exactly remember all of the words, but I remember you starting, imagine a Toastmasters organization, I forget. And then he said, and imagine, and he gave another clear vision. And he said to the audience, can you see it? And the people in the audience had never really heard a leader like that at a Toastmasters convention, and they were a little bit quiet. But in the next minute or so, he continued to make clear that vision. And he said, can you see it now? And everyone in that room hollered, yes. And I knew in that moment that Richard Peck was going to be our next second vice president. And once you hit second vice president, you're pretty much on your way to becoming international president. Richard is the only president in our entire 100-year history who has been the international president twice. He led us through the very difficult times of COVID. And at a time when the international organization was facing a leadership crisis, Richard stepped up again, the second time, to lead us forward. Richard Peck is indeed a man of vision. He's a great leader. He's always available for us to talk to. He's always there for us. Would you please give a really warm 127 best little district in the world welcome to my friend and yours, Mr. Richard Peck.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you for that introduction. I don't generally blush much, but after that one, you can probably see well, it's the heater, it's not blushing. I find the topic of leadership to be one that requires depth of thought in what that means, as well as what the individual does with that. This thought of strong leaders leading to successful clubs, leading to successful anything, is just the tip of the iceberg, the surface of it, because it's more than a strong leader. You have to be a dedicated leader. You have to be one who's there for others, who can be counted on. By show of hands, is the title what makes the leader? No, it's not. It's what the leader does with the title that's important. Is the club officer the only leader at the club? No. Oftentimes, there are other individuals at the club that are as strong, if not stronger, a leader. And I use this example when I became president of my club. I think I had gone to the washroom during elections, and I came back and I was president. Never leave the election meeting to go to the washroom, because you're going to come back and be something, whether you want to or not. And a lot of times, individuals get put into those leadership roles without knowledge that they're going to be in them. Right? Have you ever just automatically started doing something and the next thing you're the chair of a committee? I'm pretty sure the CGD team's had a couple of those individuals who have stepped up, and the next thing they know, they're running a project. They're stepping forward into those roles. But you didn't think of yourself as a leader when you did that. How many of you joined Toastmasters to develop leadership skills? Interesting, just a couple. Most come in for communication skills, self-confidence. But what happens? All of a sudden, we find out that we can contribute more, be more, help others. And we start down this leadership path. When I joined Toastmasters in 2016, if someone would have told me I was going to be the international president, I would have told them they had lost their mind, because that was nowhere near my agenda. Hey, I didn't even want to be a club officer, but I went to the washroom, as I told you, and came back. So I had to learn along the way what a leader was, what it takes to be that individual. And what I found was that leadership is not just about being in front of people, that is just a small portion of it. I tell individuals that leadership is made up of two words, really: lead and ship. The is there for the grammarian. Okay, that's all the is there for. It's for the grammarian to point out something. Lead means you provide a vision, you guide individuals somewhere. Ship means you actually move them from one location to another. That's the principles of leadership. Sounds simple. It's not. And I've realized that in order to be a good leader, a strong leader, you have to adapt principles of positional leadership. And that's what I'd like to talk to you about a little bit today is positional leadership and what that means to me. So when I started my leadership journey, I wanted something to be simple, something that I could relate to, something that others could relate to. And I developed what was started out as the 3 Bs, the letter B, to successful leadership, which then developed into the 5 Bs later when I realized that there was more to it. So let me talk to you about the first 3 Bs in leadership. And the first one is that a leader needs to stand before their team. Okay. You as a leader, whether it's at the club leadership, the area, district, whatever that looks like, need to be the individual that's standing in front of the team, providing the vision, blazing the path forward so that individuals know where they're going. You also need to be the individual that's standing in front of the team, taking the hits. Because leadership is not always easy, and sometimes you're going to be criticized as a leader for what you've said and what you've done. Anyone in leadership ever been criticized for what they've said and what they've done? Even when they thought it was the right thing? No, nobody. We all get it right on the first shot. Well, if you're getting it right on the first shot, you should be on your road to international president as well, because I haven't found anybody that gets it right out of the gate. And I have stumbled more times than I care to mention. As a matter of fact, what Patty didn't mention in the introduction was probably the primary reason that I made it to second vice president was Patty. Because Patty was coaching me at the time. And I didn't share my second vice president speech with her until we were in Vancouver. So no one had ever heard it. And with just a few tweaks of what my message was and what I was trying to say, that's what got me there. So Patty deserves that credit too. But none of us get there without somebody. You've heard the saying that if you're a leader walking a path by yourself without followers, you're just going on a long walk. So you need to have people there that are supporting you as well. So the first thing you need to do is you need to stand before your team. You need to provide them a vision. What does the vision of the club look like? What is our goal? What is our mission? We heard the district's mission was read to us nicely by Dinesh earlier. But if you're not promoting that, if you're not encouraging that, if you're not showing individuals how to get there, how will it be accomplished? And how does everybody interpret that? What does it mean? A vision is interpreted by the individual who presents it, but it's seen by others differently. So how do you get that shared vision? What does that look like? Once you have the shared vision, then you can start moving individuals forward. What is the shared vision of a club? Is it to be distinguished? Is it to be select distinguished, presidents distinguished? Is it to grow? Is it to help individuals become better global citizens? Is it to help individuals develop self-confidence? What does that club look like at that point in time? What does a struggling club look like? Does a struggling club need stronger leaders? Maybe. Or does it need dedicated leaders with a vision to get them to where they need to go? Leadership is just not one facet. So now that you're in that position of being before your team, whether it's in a role of club president, vice president of education, whether it's a CGD, PQD, DD, or international president, you've just started the path. You've just started the process. Because you can't always be in front of them. You can't always be in front of them. Do you know why a leader can't always be in front of his team? Because sometimes they are the roadblock to the team. And they need to get out of the way and let individuals do their job. If you are micromanaging your team, you're not letting them do anything. You're just telling them what to do. So know that you sometimes have to get out of the way. So how do you get out of the way? Well, you get behind your team, right? You get behind your team and you stand behind them as the person that they can fall back on, that they can lean back on when necessary, when they're struggling, when they don't think they can go forward. The individual who needs that little push. Have you ever had somebody on your team or going up to somebody and asked them to take on a role and they said, I just can't do it? I can't do it. Why can't they do it? Because somebody told them they can't? Because no one encouraged them to try? Because they think they're going to fail? By not taking on the role, they failed automatically. By not taking that chance. If you put them in that position and you give them that little nudge, you're going to move them forward. You're going to help them get to where they need to be, which is ultimately where you're trying to ship them to. You need to be the person who, when you tell them, I've got your back, it really means you have their back. So you're now in front of the team. You're now behind the team. They are all set except for one thing. You're not doing anything. As a leader, you need to stand beside your team. You need to be willing to do the same work they're doing. You need to be able to work shoulder to shoulder with them. Have you ever seen a leader that's taken on a role and then just disappeared? We used to joke that the I in immediate past didn't mean immediate. It meant invisible. Because the leader would just disappear. Or the leader puts you in a position, gives you a task, and then you can't get in touch with them. You never see them again. You know why District 127's been so successful? Because the leaders aren't disappearing. The leaders are there doing the work. They're standing shoulder to shoulder with the individuals and members within this district to help move it forward. It's a team of leaders that are exemplifying the standing before, standing behind, and standing beside principles that I believe in. And I can tell you that every time I failed in leadership, I could tell you which one of those gaps I had. Whether I wasn't standing behind my team strong enough, whether I wasn't standing beside them doing the work, or whether I was not providing the vision and the direction that they needed to go to help them achieve their goals. See, as a leader, it's not about your goals. It's about their goals. It's about their destination. You may have a vision. You may have something that you want to accomplish. But those individuals are trying to accomplish that exact same thing. And you're taking them there is the key. And this sounds all great. Yes, I can stand before my team. I can stand behind them. I can stand beside them. But that's just one portion of it. And this is what I realized later on, that there were two more key components that were necessary to be successful as a leader, whether it's at my club level or anywhere else. Your team has two important roles, regardless of whether it's one person, 10 people, or an entire district. One, they need to believe in you. They need to believe in you, not your title. They need to respect your title, but they need to believe in you as the individual. When you say you're going to do something, do it. When you say you're there for them, be there for them. If they don't believe in you, they will stop following you. If they don't believe in you, they will stop supporting you. If they don't believe in you, they will stop believing in themselves. because you're the individual who put them in that position. So it's very important that people believe. When I was doing the world tour as international president during the COVID pandemic, I wanted people to know that I was dedicated to our organization, that I was dedicated to our members, and that I just wasn't there to show up as a title. So when I traveled to 140 clubs worldwide, virtually, it wasn't just to show up as a talking head. I would ask them what role they wanted me to take on. I would take on the role of pathway speech person. 80% of the clubs asked me to give a pathway speech. I think they just wanted to evaluate the international president, but it was a lot of fun. Or they'd ask me to take on a leadership role. How can I promote that I believe in something if I'm not willing to take it on? And why would they believe in me if I didn't do it? If I promote pathways, if you promote pathways and you're not taking pathways programs, am I going to believe in you as a pathways person? No, not at all. So think about whether your team is believing in you or not, or whether you have done something to have lost that trust, that belief. Trust is the easiest thing in the world to lose and the hardest thing in the world to gain. So you need to make sure that you have really focused on that. In addition to believing you, they have to have some buy-in. They have to be willing to do some of the work. Right? It's not just a group of individuals getting together for a social hour. It's a group of individuals getting together to do something, whether it's for the common good, whether it's to help an individual as a speaker, whether it's the CGD team, who I am so impressed by the slides I saw today, working together to promote that growth within the district. They believe in the vision. They believe in the mission. They believe in the outcome, and they believe in you. Most importantly, they believe in Dr. Abdul because he's helping them to see where they need to go. And because of that, they're willing to do the work, to give a little bit of themselves. Now, if you were to take each one of these principles and look at it as a circle, put them each in their own individual circle, and you converge the circles together, there's going to be a point of intersection. Where that intersection arises is where your amount of success as a leader applies. If for some reason those circles start moving out, there's nothing in the middle. You're not standing before your team. You're not standing beside them or behind them. They don't believe in you and they're not going to buy in. You have no chance of success. None. None whatsoever. In 2015, I ran for second vice president the first time. There were a lot of us. I approached the leadership role as the international president from my perspective, what I thought the role should be, where I thought it should go, what I thought the people needed. Guess what? It wasn't what they needed. It wasn't what they wanted. They might have thought that I was a leader, a good leader, but they didn't believe in me at that time. There was no buy-in on what I was trying to say. And those two components alone caused me to fall out of that circle of success. When I came back in 2017 to run again, I realized that it wasn't about me. As leaders, it's not about us. As leaders, it's about others. I changed my philosophy. I changed my delivery. I changed my approach. I listened to Patty. I got mentoring. And I was able to get individuals to see me differently, to see me as the leader they needed, and to believe in me, and to buy into what I had as a vision for the organization. And the rest is history. But without those principles, without the ability to stand by them, regardless of what leadership role you're in, your success is limited. Some of you have heard my quote. It's been used a number of times. But being a leader is not about being the center of attention. Being a leader is about being the epicenter of action. Don't worry about the limelight. Don't worry about the limelight. Worry about what you do with your title. Worry about what you do to help others. I also tell individuals, never put your title before your name. If your title's before your name, it's leading you. Put your title after your name. You lead your title. As we continue to grow as an organization, and we were having this conversation earlier about the first 100 years and the next 100 years, we are going to continue to make impact. We are going to continue to develop leaders. We are going to continue to find leaders who don't think they're leaders. And we are going to help them become the individuals that we know they can be, the leaders that we know they can be, the contributors that we know they can be. I'll ask you again, how many of you stepped into this role of Toastmasters to become a leader without realizing your potential that you have now? Each and every one of you now has a bigger role as global citizens. We were talking about this earlier and how many of us feel that we're global citizens because maybe we've lived more than one place. Maybe we've traveled to more than one place. Your world right now is a time zone away. It's a Zoom meeting away. It's a little square. You can be anywhere in the world at any point, learn from leaders anywhere, and help grow the individual. Prior to 2020, in that pandemic that we are trying to forget about, would I have been here with you today? No. Prior to 2020, would you have had the opportunity to visit clubs around the world, districts around the world, without having to reach into your wallet? No. The world has shifted. We as leaders have shifted in our ability to lead others, are shifted in our philosophies and our views. What we haven't done is we haven't lost our sight of helping others. We haven't lost our sight of helping individuals become better communicators and better leaders. But what we have done is become more aware of the world around us, more aware of the needs for individuals, and more aware of who we are. Regardless of what leadership role you have, regardless of what title you have, be the individual that others need you to be. Be the individual who shows the way, who stands behind others, and will stand with them when times get tough. Dr. Abdul?
Thank you, Toastmaster Richard, for your insights. And this shows you are not a leader just by a title, but as a wonderful human being. Thank you for enlightening us. And now for the audience who are listening keenly to this enlightening session, I have 3 questions to throw at you, and anybody can catch it and answer the questions.
I like this here with these chairs. This is pretty cool. I've never seen this before. District 127 setting the bar high.
Yeah. And the right person to answer your question, who's the man behind this or the lady behind this? Let me ask our Club Growth Director, Dr. Abdul Sattar, who's the person behind this? The stairs.
The whole team is behind this. We have actually started the immersive view meetings of the Toastmasters, and this time actually because we were didn't have a chance to practice this concept. That's why we didn't start from the beginning. But during question answer session, it actually supports a lot. And we have a big Zoom team that is Hadi, Wenzel, and Venisha, and we all manage it together. Thank you very much, Hadi. Over to you.
Thank you, DPM Abdul Sattar. My question is, in leadership, it can be split into 2 words, according to Richard. What are those 2 words? Anybody from audience can unmute yourself and answer the question. What is that?
Leader plus ship.
Lead and ship. Who is that?
DTM Harish.
Thank you, DTM Harish. Your answer is correct. Then he talked about certain kind of, a specific kind of leadership. What is that kind of leadership?
Positional leadership.
Wow. Again, the right answer. Who's that? Please name your...
Henrietta, DTM Henrietta.
Thank you, DTM Henrietta. And as a leader, they respect your dash and they believe you as a dash. What is it?
They believe your title.
They believe your title. Can you rethink your answer?
They respect your title.
Correct. And they believe you.
In you. They believe in your abilities.
As an individual. Great.
Yes.
Amazing. And I'm really happy to see our audience listening capability. And that's the power of a speaker, to make their audience listen. Now, after listening to any kind of speech, and especially this enlightening speech, they will be asking themselves, I have some questions, I have some gaps to be filled. I need to ask this person one question which is in my mind for such a long time. And this is the best opportunity for you, my audience, to ask your questions. And to moderate this Q&A session, we have the person who's behind this wonderful Zoom setup, who's none other than Toastmaster Wenzel Fernandez. He is presently serving as awards and marketing team member, and he believed that Toastmasters is a go-to place for all self-development and learning curves in leadership roles. And I could see Toastmaster Wenzel. I'm seeing him for the last 2 to 3 years. And I can see that curve, not going down, but always going up. And now, audience, help me to welcome Toastmaster Wenzel to moderate the Q&A session.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Hadi. Yes, indeed, you're right. My curve went up ahead. Thanks to a lot of my mentors. One of my mentors, who's actually the CGD, that is DTM Dr. Abdul Sattar, who pushed me and took me to a different level. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome you all to the Q&A session. DTM Richard, that was an amazing education session. That reminded me of a quote. One of my favorite quotes that I always use is, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. And I believe we have so many good leaders. Now, after an amazing informative education session. There are a lot of questions that we have for this amazing leader who's actually with us. Now, I will allow those who can raise your hands if you have any questions. We will unmute you, and then we will allow you to please ask question to DTM Richard from your side. However, before you have your question, I have few questions. One of the questions that one of the Toastmasters did ping me personally is how did you deal with conflicts in the club or in your team, and what methods helped you the most to resolve them and keep things productive? DTM Richard.
That's a great question. And there's nothing wrong with conflict. I think conflict is sometimes very valuable when conflict leads to open discussion and exchange of ideas. When conflict becomes personal, that's when conflict is no good and is not serving anybody. When it comes to conflict, I've tried to put myself in a position where I step back a little bit and try to see the other person's reasoning, to understand where they're coming from, why they believe the way they believe. And try not to make a decision right away. We talk about that active listening as evaluators when we're listening to speakers, but we need to employ that active listening when we're in situations of conflict. Too often, one, we feel like we're being attacked, which we may or may not be. And two, we try to resolve the issue before we know what the problem actually is, because we've formed a judgment already. So for me, it's stepping back a little bit, listening to it, maybe not making a decision right away, because just like email, sometimes our response is an emotional response and not necessarily the right response. So those items there have helped me with conflict in the past. Have I always been successful in resolving it? No, but I don't think we are always 100% successful at resolving conflict. But have we lessened it and mediated it? Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much, DTM Richard. We have a question from Toastmaster Tabasum. Her question is, what was the biggest challenge you faced as a leader, as an international president in 2019?
So I don't think 2019 would have been the challenge. I took the office of president in 2020 in the heart of the pandemic. And I think there were a lot of challenges there. There was a lot of self-doubt, leading an organization through a time which we had never seen before. There's no leadership books that you can read that tell you, hey, how to lead an organization in the middle of a pandemic. There's nothing there that helps you. So self-doubt was definitely a challenge. Not having individuals that you could readily reach out to and have a long discussion about with things, because everyone was going through something, and your problems were probably not as big as somebody else's problems were. Being in a leadership role and being informed of the passing of somebody in the organization, the passing of somebody's parents, nobody prepares you for those things. And how to keep an organization connected that was used to being connected. So there was, I would say 2020 was the biggest challenge for me. That, am I a leader? Did I really step into this role prepared? And I'll be honest with you, I don't think anyone was prepared, not 100%. But I knew what I needed to do, and I knew those 5 principles that I just spoke to you about, that I needed to be behind people and be with them.
Thank you so much. I agree to that answer. Is questioning yourself. Am I ready to take on this charge? That's something that I believe all the leaders in Toastmasters platform do that. Thank you so much. Now I have a question from Toastmaster Anjana. Uh, the question is, how important are mentoring and coaching in developing leaders in Toastmasters Club? How have you used them, to develop these skills to bring those leaders up front?
I think mentoring and coaching are key to all aspects of not only club development, but of individual development. As you heard me, I shout out to Patty earlier for her helping me and helping others get to where they needed to be, whether it's been in speaking or in leading. But I think that when you think about mentors, when you think about coaches, regardless of what level you're looking at, I think you need to realize that you can have multiple mentors and multiple coaches because they all bring something unique to what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. If you're looking for a coach or a mentor because you want to be on the world championship stage, well, I think you're going to want to reach out to somebody who's actually been on the stage before to kind of give you that development, not somebody who's lost at the area level all the time, right? Because you're looking for something specific. If you're looking for a specific type of leadership skill, reach out to individuals who have those leadership skills, because those are the individuals who you're going to learn from. But also realize that mentoring and coaching is not necessarily a lifetime engagement. That if things aren't working, it's okay to step away and look for something else. When we get to the heart of your question about clubs, both struggling and successful clubs can gain from mentors. Successful clubs are only going to keep growing in more and more success. Struggling clubs are going to need the mentor because struggling clubs may have given up on themselves because they can't see the way out. They can't see the lights. They think that they've gotten as far as they can and have reached as far as they can. I do this exercise when I'm doing a workshop, and I'll have everyone who can stand up and I'll ask them to reach as high as they can. And everyone will reach up as high as they can. And I'll tell them to put their arm down and shake it out a little bit. And then I'll ask them to reach higher. And guess what? Everybody reaches higher. And I can do that all day long, and they'll continue to reach higher and higher and higher. But the question I asked them the first time was to reach as high as they can. But they reached as high as they thought they could because they set a limit on where they think they can go. Clubs do it, speakers do it, leaders do it. And it's up to us as coaches, as mentors, to help them show that it's just a little bit farther. It's just at the end of your fingertips.
Thank you so much, TTM Richard. That was an amazing answer and a clarity given where you have to reach out when you are in need. My next question is from Toastmaster Ed, who just pinged me the question. When you feel giving up as a leader, what do you think and what do you do?
I think when you are a leader and you're in that position and you feel like giving up, couple things. One is you reach out to your mentor, you reach out to your coach, you reach out to somebody who is your confidant, somebody who you're willing to share with. I think you sit back and say, why am I in this position? What is it that I am here for? Because when you give up as an individual, as a leader, you're not just giving up on yourself. You're giving up on others. Because after all, you're not leading yourself. You're leading a team. You're leading a group. You're leading an organization. And when you give up, what is the first thing they start to think? That they have to give up. Because if you were in that position and you couldn't do it, how are they going to? But I think it's also the need to be honest with yourself and identify when you are struggling, when you are having challenges. There's this, and I've talked about this in one of my videos, there's this belief in leaders that they can't ask for help because, hey, I'm the leader, I should know everything, right? You put me in this position. And if I ask for help, I'm showing weakness. Well, actually, no, if you ask for help, you're showing wisdom because it means you know yourself. And I'll tell you what, I'd rather have a bunch of wise leaders asking out for help than a bunch of leaders who aren't and are struggling and don't feel they can make it.
Thank you so much, DTM Richard. That's the clarity. I believe those who are in this room who are planning to give up, please don't do this because you are in an amazing organization. Now,
And
the
you're
next,
amazing individuals. You each bring something to this organization. You have, whether you know it or not, somebody is watching you. Somebody is wanting to be you. And I say, don't be me, have my skills, but be you. But somebody is watching you. Somebody is watching the leaders. Somebody is watching the speakers. You are their role model, whether you know it or not. And when you give up, they give up.
thank you so much, DTM Richard. The next question is from your friend, that is Toastmaster Paddy. The question is, I would like to know how DTM Richard feels he has grown through his leadership journey. What are the main things he has learned about himself as a global leader, DTM Richard?
Oh, why would Patty give me a softball question? What have I learned about? Oh, I've learned so much about myself and as a leader. I've I've learned to step back and listen. I've learned that being a leader isn't about you, it's about others. I've learned that as much as I'm as much aware of the world around me that I thought I was, because I do study world cultures on a fairly regular basis. I realized that what we read in books are not the same as what we experience in life. So you can read a leadership book, but unless you're experienced in it, that book doesn't apply. You can read about culture and you can read about religion and you can read about everything around the world. But until you've experienced it, it's someone else's interpretation of it, right? And how many books out there have multiple translations because one person translated it one way and one person translated it another way? So I think those are things that I realized I'll tell you the hardest thing to learn as a leader or a speaker is vulnerability. That you need to be willing to be vulnerable. Asking for help, that's vulnerability. You're saying you need it. Sharing your story with others so that they can connect and they can believe leads to some level of vulnerability. And for me, Patty knows, Patty and I have had long discussions. That's not me. I have the wall. I put the wall right here and you can get to it, but that's about as close as you're going to get is to the wall. And I've now had to learn to put windows and doors in that wall so that I can let others in. And as leaders and as speakers, as individuals, that's how we connect with one another.
Thank you so much, GTM Richard. I'm sure that clarity is there right now, that if you need help, please ask, rather than knowing yourself that you know everything. And amazing answer. The next question comes from Toastmaster Anil, and this is one of my favorite questions, and even I would love to know how do you do this. Is how do you spot and develop future leaders in your club, and how do you ensure smooth transitions between leadership roles? GTM Richard.
I send them out to get coffee during election. Then they come back and they're already in the role. I think you see it in their actions. I think you see it in the way they present themselves. I think you hear it in the words they use. I think as individuals, when we're looking at leaders, looking for leaders, we need to have a much broader view of the individual. And I will tell you this is my philosophy on leadership. One of them, anyhow, is that I don't need you to have skill. I really don't. I need you to have passion. See, I can train skills. I can train you to be a project manager. I can train you to be a sergeant at arms, a vice president of education. I can train you marketing, social media. What I can't train you in is passion. And if we have leaders that are in roles and aren't passionate about doing this, are they going to be successful? Are they going to take the team to where they need to be? No, absolutely not. But if they're passionate, they will try as hard as they can to be the best they can. They will try as hard as they can to get the skills necessary. And they're the ones that are willing to reach out. So when I look at individuals, I want to know, are you passionate about it? Or are you just doing this to tick a box? And if you're just ticking a box, it's just the title. It's not you as the individual. So give me a room full of people that are passionate, and we'll sit there and we'll train them in the skills that they need. And we'll provide them mentors and coaches that'll help them get there. But don't just give me a room full of people that just want a title. No need for it.
Thank you so much, DTM Richard. That was something that we all seek. There are many passionate leaders in this group right now who are listening to you. Please please carry on your leadership roles. Do not stop, because this is not the end. After all, we are here to learn.
Yeah, I would ask, if I'm a leader in this organization, and you're all leaders, whether you believe it or not, you are, I would ask myself, what got me into leadership? What got me into leadership? So what got you into leadership? Were you passionate about doing something? Was there somebody that asked you and encouraged you where you wouldn't have stepped in if you weren't asked or encouraged? You know, I love this, and I'm sorry to take the time, but I love the statement that, well, we can't ask, he's too busy. How do you know how busy I am? How do I know how busy you are or how busy someone else is? What I do know is this: if I don't ask, the answer is going to be no. If I ask, I've got a 50-50 shot. Right? So asking somebody to step into leader, you've got a 50-50 shot they're going to say yes.
Thank you so much, audience. You heard DTM Richard. There is a question for you. What got you into leadership? Please type on the chat box, and you will. We would love to listen to you as what got you into leadership. DTM Richard, I have a question from Toastmaster Vinisha. What qualities do you think set exceptional leaders apart from average ones, especially in club settings?
I think for those leaders who step just a little farther out into that leadership spectrum, it's those that have a broader vision of the direction that they need to go, a broader vision of what needs to be accomplished, a realization that they can't do it by themselves. I think those are the people that you see on the farthest spectrum. Those who have an understanding of strategic planning and initiatives, of what that looks like. Who wants to be successful? Everybody. Who thinks success is just going to fall in their lap? Oh, nobody. But who makes a plan for success? I know Patty does. But how many of you actually sit down and write a strategic plan for what that looks like? Not many. Not many. And if you don't have a plan, if you don't have the ability to see it, you're not going to have a refined vision on how to get there. And I think those are the individuals who you see stepping just a little bit farther out in the leadership spectrum. I will tell you the other ones that you will see farther out there are the ones who aren't afraid to fail, that aren't afraid to gamble and try new things. District 127, you're a fairly new district, so I can't be hearing we've always done it this way, so we're always going to do it that way philosophy. But we do have those individuals, those clubs, those districts where I've always done it this way, so I'm always going to do it that way. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome. Right? So those individuals who are willing to try new things and fail or succeed. And I will tell you that my belief is that you never fail when you try something. You may not have the outcome you want, but you will always have learned from it. And as long as you've learned, you haven't failed.
Thank you so much, DTM Richard. The next question comes from Toastmaster Suhas. How do you balance giving members freedom while still providing guidance from their clubs or areas or division success?
The most important thing is to put guardrails in place. You want to let individuals express themselves, be able to experiment, be able to try new things. Your goal, though, as a leader is to keep them from harm, right? To keep them from harm. So if someone comes to me with a new idea, a new approach to trying something, I'll ask them the question as to why they think it's a good idea, why they think it's a good approach, why they think it's a good plan. And as long as they can convey to me what they expect to get from it, not what I'm going to get from it, but what they expect to get from it, I think that's when we give them the freedom to do so. When we have a team and we give them a project, give them a task, our goal is not to let them run willy-nilly on it. Our goal is to let them go, but hold them accountable, make sure that we're monitoring them. Right? But as a leader, your goal is to empower individuals, not to be powerful over individuals. And that's how individuals grow. That's the success that they start to have. That's how we give them freedoms. Give them power, hold them accountable, but always, always set the expectation. See, you can't hold people accountable if you haven't set an expectation for them, because they don't know what you want. So if you set the expectation for them, then hold them accountable and give them the freedoms to make decisions, you're going to see a lot of success out of individuals. And you know, the best leaders are the leaders that teams don't know exist, because you haven't been there in their face the entire time, pushing them what to do. You've let them do it. And then, by the way, when the team succeeds, it's not you that gets the credit for it. It's the team that gets the credit for it. I have heard before distinguished districts where the individual will say they are a distinguished district director. No, you're not. You are a district director of a distinguished district because they got you there. And that's what we need to recognize, the individuals who help the success.
Thank you so much, DTM Richard. I have last two questions.
Okay.
This question is from Toastmaster Anjali Rajan. Can you share something innovative, something really out of the box that you have done as a leader? Why and what was the impact? DTM Richard.
So you heard me mention the world tour, the International Presidents World Tour. That was something that was so far out of the box thinking. It had never been done before. My team at World Headquarters thought I had absolutely lost my mind, that I was going to speak at a club in every country we were represented, regardless of time, place, anything. Not only was I going to do that within about an 8-month period, 9-month period by the time we finally got it underway, but I was going to take on roles at those clubs. And I was going to let the club tell me what role I was taking on. So I had my team at World Headquarters. Jessica Mobeck was instrumental in it, would reach out to clubs around the world and say, hey, you've been selected for the International Presidents World Tour. Richard would like to join your meeting on X dates. What would you like him to do? And they would say, we want him to give a speech, or we want him to be a Toastmaster, we want him to be an evaluator. And my wife, who was extremely supportive, would make sure that hey, if you're on a meeting at 3:00 in the morning, you're up there and at your Zoom computer and you're on your Zoom meeting at 3:00 in the morning, even though she thought that I had lost my mind too. And happy to say we did speak in I think we spoke in 141 clubs in 141 countries. But what came out of it, which was much more interesting, was that there became a set of individuals that would follow me along the tour. And they would be joining clubs around the world and learning about the culture of those clubs, the countries, because those clubs wanted to share who they were. And it became an ability to have a true global citizenship, because now you're meeting individuals where they are. And that's the key to it. And it's an experience that I'll never forget. It was an opportunity that will probably never come around again. Although I have been asked if I'd do a second tour. I'm not sure that I'm up to that. I might. But the pandemic could have been detrimental to our organization, which it was, but we had to find ways in which to use it to our advantage. And that world tour was a way to use it to our advantage.
Thank you so much, DTM Richard. That was an amazing answer. And I believe the one who asked the question, you have got the answer for yourself. Last question. Based on all your experience, and this is coming from Toastmaster Alex, based on all your experience, what is a suggestion for a club to increase club membership when many Toastmasters are not even renewing their membership? And adding to that, one of the other questions is, what advice do you have for those who want to become great leaders and build outstanding clubs? DTM Richard.
So two challenging questions there for sure. The first is the question that you have to ask yourself. Why are members not renewing? Why are members leaving? And you have to be able to answer that question honestly. Is it the club environment that is causing individuals to leave or not renew? Now, I heard the CGD teams supporting moments of truth. Moments of truth is great, but it has to be answered honestly. And if it's answered honestly, you might get the root cause there. Here's the thing that I've seen is that a club has a guest showing up, okay? Or more than one guest showing up, but the club meeting is not organized, right? The agenda is not full. There's no speakers. The Toastmaster of the day is scrambling at the last minute to get people to sign up for roles. Do you really think you're going to get that guest to become a member? No, not at all. Because they're looking for something that will help them grow, something that will develop their confidence, something to develop the skills they want. And what they're seeing is not that. So taking a true assessment of the club, making sure that the meetings are what the meetings are, asking the guests what it is that they're looking for. And here's something that's become challenging, and I don't know why we're not addressing it, is that in these online meetings or hybrid meetings, when you have a guest, why are we not treating them like they're a guest sitting in the room next to us? Why don't we assign them a member of that club who they can reach out to and chat if they have a question about what's going on in the meeting? Why do we segment them into a different population? If they were in the meeting with you in person, they'd be sitting next to an experienced Toastmaster, more than likely, who could answer their questions along the way. Not only are they isolated by being on Zoom, but they're isolated in the fact that there's no conversation with them. Or we hit that red button at the minute that meeting ends, and we don't have any water cooler style conversation with them afterwards. How do you attract a guest to become a member at that point? And whether you're online or whether you're in person, those philosophies, those practices have to be the same. They have to be the same. So your environment can't be any different. And what was the second part of the question? I'm sorry, I was so wrapped up in that first part of the question. What was the second part of the question?
The second part of the question was, what advice do you have for those who want to become great leaders and build outstanding clubs?
One is I would find great leaders to help mentor me. I would find individuals who are in successful clubs and ask them what the secret to their success is. Now, that's great. They can share their secret to success. Now, it may not be the same secret sauce that you need for your club, but it may give you some ideas. Why don't our club presidents reach out to one another and say, hey, I'm struggling here. Can you give me some ideas? See, area directors are great, and area directors are a key component in leadership because they're the link between the district and the club, right? But an area director is visiting at a snapshot in time. If a club is meeting weekly or bi-weekly, that area director may only be visiting them one time in a period of time. But those club presidents are constantly immersed. Those club officers are constantly immersed. Is it the president who should be reaching out? Is it the president that should be taking the lead? What about the vice president of public relations? What are they doing to promote the club? What are the vice presidents of membership doing to secure those memberships? The wheel is fine the way it is. It doesn't need to be reinvented every time somebody takes on a new role. All we need to do is expand our toolbox of skills. If we stop reinventing the wheel and keep moving forward, you're going to find much more success.
And thank you, audience, for all the questions. I would like to thank Richard for taking his time to answer the questions of all our leaders who are on the screen. As one of my mentors says, if you are in confusion, seek clarity, and then you will get confidence to your next role. Thank you so much. It was an honor to be your Q&A moderator, DTM Richard. To the entire audience, I hand over the stage back to the master of ceremony. And before that, if in case I have missed to take on your questions, please reach out to us to our email ID, that is click4cgd@gmail.com. We will make this question goes to DTM Richard and get back to you within a day or so. And once again, thank you so much. Handing over back the stage to an amazing master of ceremony, Toastmaster Hadi. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Wenzel and DTM Richard. And now I would like to ask you, the audience, how you felt throughout the session. And if you are like me, who's emotional, I'm enlightened, and this educational session is really because I'm going through a tough time as a leader, and it touched my heart. So if you have any feelings or something to express, maybe a words of gratitude, you can express it in the comment box. I'll give you a minute of time, and it would be an amazing experience for our guest as well to see your heart out. So the chat box is open for you, and let's have a minute for you to express your words of gratitude. Amazing session. You brought Hop and Me, golden nuggets. Here, this ocean of experience, most inspiring session, great learning on leadership. Powerful session. Thank you, DTM Richard. Indeed, a great session, mind-blowing session. Grateful. Very insightful session. Yes, somebody is going to take more leadership roles because of the session. Yes, amazing to catch bits and loads of great advice, golden nuggets. Clarity with all questions were answered is amazing. Thank you, our audience. And DTM Richard would be glad. And what is the time there now, DTM Richard?
The time is just now 10 minutes past noon.
10 minutes past noon. Yes. So we will sleep on with your insights, and you will have your day with an amazing experience with us.
That is right.
Thank you.
Yep. So this gives me a full day to think about this meeting, these questions that were brought to me in my session. So now I have a full day of reflection.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Now, passing on the stage and the baton to the leader of Club Growth Team, who's none other than DTM Abdul Sattar.
Thank you very much, Hadi. That is very nice way of closing the session. Let me tell you an incident that happened when I was looking for a leader to lead my club when I finished my term. It was a bit of a struggle to pull in the leaders. Then one of the leaders asked me, the leadership is having lots of challenges which I don't want to take up. And I said, if you're not ready to take up the leadership challenge, you cannot become a good leader, because a leader cannot expect only good things to happen in a leadership path. The difficult things, when we sail through, that's when we become a better leader. And today, after listening to DTM Richard's talk, I'm sure there'll be so many leaders who's inspired. There'll be so many leaders who's going to take up the challenges that is coming up on their way. And definitely, we'll have better leaders and better speakers in this district in the coming future all over the world, who we can spread from our stock to the international community. Thank you so much for coming up, DTM Richard, and Paddy. Thank you very much for disturbing DTM Richard and bringing him over here and making us enlightening our thoughts and minds to take up the challenging leadership roles. Let me also thank Danash. He has already left for the evening. He's from Lebanon. He's one of the very, very active members of the Toastmaster community in Lebanon. We had gone to Lebanon for the Area 1 contest, and it was a wonderful experience. And we had lots of food in Lebanon, because that's the best thing you can have. And let me also thank the MC for the day, Hadi. He's taken up in the last minute because someone else was supposed to be doing it. Maharsh Bichi, she got stuck up in an event, and Hadi took up in the last minute, and it's made it a wonderful experience. Let me also thank Toastmaster Wenzel. He is the mastermind behind all this tech that you see. We actually work together, support each other, and help each other to do this, the tech things that we do. And I have to also thank his better half, that is Toastmaster Vinisha. Hi, Vinisha, can you say hello? Where are you? Thank you, Toastmaster Vinisha, for taking that role of timer and also support Zoom. We have a good team supporting the tech side of it. And also, I cannot close this meeting without thanking Dr. Muniba Ali. She is the one who's organized the event. In fact, as DTM Richard has told us today, I didn't do anything. I was just standing and looking at what they were doing. I was just standing and looking at what the problems were. I was just standing and looking at how they were doing things and it has come out very well. Even the last minute problems are solved like so easily by the team. Especially Rock Muniba came forward and she said that no, we'll have one of our team members doing it. We will not bring anyone new as of now because it's a last minute. It's going to be difficult for us to incorporate someone new. So that's how the whole thing was managed. Thank you, Dr. Manibali. Can you say hello?
Hi. Hi, DTM Richard. Hi, DTM Dr. Abdul.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mariba. She is actually at work and she is actually driving back home. That's why she's looking on the side of the screen. And thank you very much once again to each and everyone who attended this session. And I'm sure you have taken lots and lots of advices, points, and many of you have noted down. We'll be posting the video as soon as the meeting is over in half an hour to 1 hour's time. And if you have any questions that you have, please email to CGD. Click for cgd@gmail.com. We'll be answering your queries as soon as possible. With this, let me close this meeting and the floor is open for discussion if there is any. Thank you very much.